A pen. Do you have a pen in yours? Sweet. All right, we're live. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the fourth ever episode podcast slash live stream. This night, we're doing it a little differently. For those of you that are Cincinnati people, you might recognize where I'm shooting this from. We are at Kelly's Nature Preserve. We just got off the river, and me and Jeremy just got off the river, and I have to do a public shaming. So thank you. So the first week we did this, we had hey Joe, good to see you. The first week we did this, we had a giveaway, and I hid a dry box here on the Little Miami, and nobody came to get the dry box that's at the Little Miami River. Okay, so there is still a giveaway dry box at Boathouse Rapid at the 17.5 mile marker sign, like tucked behind the sign. There is a free dry box with a bunch of goodies inside of it. And shame to all of you that watched the live stream last time, which there was like 1,500 people that watched it. So there is no excuse for why nobody went to get that dry box. So public shaming for my local paddling community. I think everyone assumed someone would go get it, but nobody went and got it. So yeah, consider coming boating Kelly's. We had a lot of fun tonight, even though the water's kind of low. It was a great time. So with that, we're going to do an introduction. Um, our guest tonight, his name is TJ Keenan. He is a kayak instructor in Columbus, Ohio, who learned under George Davis and Bill Kachafi. So we're going to talk about all sorts of different things. Before we jump into questions, I'm changing the format a little bit tonight, guys, and I'm going to ask TJ some questions just about his nonprofit, which is Water Safe Ohio, so that you guys can kind of understand what he does with his nonprofit and the great work he's doing in all things river. So let me see if I can bring him on. Is TJ on yet? TJ is not on. He's not on the list yet. Anybody that has TJ's, Joe, I know you're on this. Text TJ and see where the hell he is, because he was supposed to be on at 8 o'clock sharp. In the meantime, while we wait for him to join, I'm going to cover a couple things. So giveaways, I already talked about. We have one giveaway that is here at Kelly's Nature Preserve, just in Boathouse Rapid. But there's another giveaway I'm going to make the announcement about that is somewhere on the Little Miami River. And if you saw my story or any of my stuff, maybe you know where it might be on the Little Miami River. So there's going to be a giveaway at the end. Hey, Gwen, great to see you. And so we'll jump into that in a little bit. Another announcement. Oh, he's on. Good. TJ's on now. Sweet. Another announcement I want to make is we don't make any money doing this. And as you guys all know, there is no money in teaching kayaking. And so I'm going to set the giveaway budget. There is an option to subscribe to my Facebook page. I'm going to set the giveaway budget at however much, like it costs $1 a month to subscribe. And if you're willing to donate $1 to help all of the programs we're running, we'd greatly appreciate it. No pressure. All the money that comes in for that, that's how we're going to set our giveaway budget. So please consider subscribing to the page, and we're going to set the budget using that. I'm going to bring with that. I'm going to bring send request. I'm going to bring TJ on. All right, TJ, I just sent it through. It should join you in a second. Budget for giveaway. A couple more announcements while we wait for TJ. Whitewater Warehouse is running a special on Jackson kayaks in the month of September. So if you're looking to buy a Jackson boat and you're looking to get a good price on a Jackson boat, go up and visit Whitewater Warehouse. They're going to have some really awesome deals going on in the month of September. Next thing I'm going to say, first, please like and heart this so that it helps the social media algorithms. And then secondly, whoever leaves the most comments in the live stream, I'm going to add them all up at the end. Whoever leaves the most comments in this live stream, I'm going to send a free hat, and I'm going to mail it straight to your house. So whoever does the most comments, I'm going to send you a free hat. So please light up the comments section with lots of questions for TJ. I'm gonna ask TJ questions when he joins. Let's try again. It said connection failed for TJ. I'm gonna ask TJ questions, and then and then I'll have a window where I'll let everyone ask TJ questions. Let me try again, TJ. Add, send request. Maybe it doesn't light. Maybe because I'm not on Wi-Fi. Let's see. Oh, he's joining. Let's see. TJ, I hope you
We're
have good
trying.
Wi-Fi.
We're trying. There we go.
He's alive. All right,
Delays.
here we
I was
go.
on time, I promise.
No, it's all
Where'd
good.
you
It's
go?
all good. Can you see me? I
I
can
can't
see
see you, but I
you.
can see you.
That's fine. Everyone can see you, so you're good.
Okay.
Oh, and warning, I was told about this last week. Scoot back away from the feed. Yeah, the perfect. Because it zooms in on our faces, whether we like it or not. So consciously sit back a little bit so that people
Okay.
can see your faces. So before we dive in, TJ, with the questions I already sent you, and I have a couple I want to ask you, a couple more announcements. We have Golly Fest coming up. So if anyone wants to go to an awesome paddling festival in West Virginia, there's an awesome festival called Golly Fest. It's September 18th through the 21st. Then we have the Outdoor X Paddle Festival / races that I'll be organizing in Dayton, Ohio. That's going to be October 4th and 5th this year. If you want to come in the night before, October 3rd, I think, there's going to be free camping for anyone that's paddling and wants to just have a good time. We're all going to camp in the same place out there. So if you want to come to Dayton, and we're camping Friday night. Okay. I did it.
Your turn to scoot back.
Yeah, thanks. Remind me of that. I swear I'm actually pretty far away, so I don't know why my phone keeps doing that. But Outdoor X is October 4th and 5th. Please come. Support the local paddling community by coming and participating. It's free to participate, and just hop in a boat and don't be afraid to make a fool of yourself, because we all get better by making fools of ourselves. Jeremy and I paddled tonight, and I fell on my face
Second that.
yeah, I fell on my face 15 times trying to get something, trying to learn a new skill. And I got it at the end, but a lot of times you fall on your face a whole bunch and you still don't accomplish what you were trying, and that's okay. That's part of it all. So
It's the only way to learn in this sport.
yeah, absolutely. Um, okay. Two shameless plugs. I've got a Friday night paddling class. If anyone wants to take kayak classes, there's going to be a Friday night paddling class here in Cincinnati, Ohio. TJ, are you teaching any wintertime classes?
I am actively okay. So I have two options that I'm working on. I'm trying to secure pool space at Hilliard YMCA and Wright State University. Nothing is confirmed yet. Most likely, Hilliard's not going to be available until after January, but Wright State might have some availability starting in November. So it's all pending right now, but stay tuned. As soon as I get an okay, I will have dates posted on our website and then also on our Facebook page. So stay tuned for that for sure.
Awesome. We have another paddling festival is GAF, Guest Appreciation Festival, down at the NOC, another super fun festival. If you're looking to pick up cheap paddling gear, that's a great festival to go to. There's normally used gear galore. It's a great place to get boats for cheap, especially fall and winter are the best times to buy paddling gear because it's all on sale.
It's
People are
always
trying
so
to get
cheap.
rid of
Mm-hmm.
it's so cheap. This is the best time to buy boats for sure. And then shameless, there are pool sessions. There's two pool sessions that I want to talk about. One is going to be the Xavier YMCA, or the Xavier pool sessions will start in January. And then the Lebanon YMCA. Do you know when George is starting those?
He's got
George, if
one
you're on
coming
this.
up on September 21st. I'm actually going to
Okay.
participate in that one. And then
Yes.
I'm not sure if he's got any after that. I'll have to ask him.
Okay, sweet. Once he, if he watches this, George, please send me your dates and I'll post them all over the place, because pool
Yeah, likewise.
sessions. Yeah, pool sessions are a great way to grow and keep your. These are all perishable skills. If you don't practice your roles and your other stuff, then you can struggle to do some of this. Once you have a role, it's like riding a bike, but some of the other stuff, you should practice it if you want to master it. So, okay, with that, let me see. Yes. I think now we can dive into the questions. TJ, before I didn't send these ones to you, but before we're going to do it a little different tonight. So, first, I have some questions for you, TJ, about your nonprofit and all the fun
Okay.
stuff you're doing.
Uh-huh.
And then we'll go into the questions that people sent in. I'm going to leave a section. So, for everyone watching, I'm going to leave a break for you guys all to ask TJ questions after I'm done asking my questions. So let me ask my, but if you have a question for TJ, go ahead and put it in the comments, and we'll try to scroll up to it.
Oh,
But
I'll see it at some point.
okay, perfect. All right, first question: how did you start boating?
Okay, well, so boating in general, I consider that all forms of kayaking. I bought my first kayak 6 years ago. It was after I took a trip to see my mom in Colorado, and she put me in a kayak for the first time at like 22 years old at Horsetooth Reservoir in Colorado, which is a very beautiful, very life-changing experience for me. And then I fell in love with creeks and rivers and started boating right around that time. And then it was right in the middle of the pandemic that got me into whitewater kayaking because there was a nice little on the marketplace and everyone got their stimulus checks. There was a little $400 package for a whitewater boat, a skirt, a paddle, and a helmet. And I jumped right on that and learned very quickly that I needed to learn how to roll because I had a less than enjoyable experience at the old Eastwood feature with my buddy. We both took our kayaks down there, and just like every other wreck boater that's ever been through those and fell out, that was me. I ended up swimming, walking around in bare feet, didn't even have shoe gear. It was a long day, but right after that, I got in contact with George Davis, and that summer, I had my first roll lesson.
Yeah, awesome. So, what year did you go? Did you first meet George Davis and do roll lessons?
I met George in the summer of 2020 through a Facebook recommendation. He saw that I, had been looking for lessons, and he was the first one to invite me down there. And they were actually at the time they were the only ones doing pool sessions because COVID kind
Hmm.
of erased any kind of public access. They were very lucky to have that. Countryside YMCA. They've been doing it for about 20 years down there.
Oh
So
yeah,
immediately I knew I was in good hands when I went down there and met everyone. They made me feel real safe. And when I got that role in 5 minutes, Bill wouldn't stop talking about how I learned an Olympic timing. And he's like, you need to be an instructor. And I thought he was just crazy. I didn't think that I would be where I am today, but I'm very thankful to everything him, George, and Gwen have taught me through the years. It's really helped me kind of blossom into the instructor that I am today. And now I'll just dedicate my time to helping everyone else out and
yeah.
creating a foundation for the community. It's really heartwarming. And I know you've probably been through similar stuff when you learned.
Yeah, yeah. The down here in Cincinnati, I learned from a guy named Don Brandon, which most people know. He's been run. That's good lighting, by the way. That was great. He's been running those. He's been running like a Monday night kayak class on the Little Miami since I was a kid. So that's where I first
Nice.
learned. But yeah. So okay. Well, tell us a little bit about Water Safe Ohio, what it's all about, what you guys do.
Right on. Real quick to stem off that first question, because I see Nicole right there just asked how I progressed from extended to sweep, and that's a really cool discussion. But she also mentioned that if anybody wants to go to George's pool session, make sure you email him. That's one thing that they've been very adamant about is there's no walk-ins. You can't just show up and be like, hey, here's $15, let me get in the pool. They have to have a process through the YMCA where they have to kind of check you in and RSVP. So please keep that in mind if anyone's trying to go to any Lebanon sessions. And George is the guy to email. Used to be Gwen. George took it over now. But please send him an email if anyone needs that email. I have it not right off the top of my head, but I'm sure I can pull it up if anyone needs that before we're done here. So just wanted to squeeze that in before we went to that next
If
question.
if
Would
anyone needs
please
his
repeat it because I
email,
kind of forgot.
yeah. If anyone needs that email, go to ohiokayakonstruction.com, and his email is at the bottom where it says pool sessions. So if you need
Sweet.
an email, yeah. I think I put it in there, and I think I changed like an O with a zero so he wouldn't
Mm,
get any spam stuff.
nice. That's smart.
I'm trying to
I'm
be
going to be
creative
doing
with that.
similar stuff when I hopefully get into right state. It was kind of the same deal. They wanted, I was very organized with that too. But yeah, definitely email George. And then I'll swing right back into Water Safe Ohio because that was kind of like they really set me up to be a role instructor kind of from the get go. because every time I came back to do tune-ups, they wanted me to watch them specifically teach people because Bill kept hammering me. He's like, "You're gonna do this one day. You're gonna do this," and I'm like, "Okay," because at the time I was scared. I was like, "That's teaching somebody how to save their life." So like, I really feel like I need some solid credentials before getting into that. But so a buddy of mine, his name's Brennan Steinbuck. If anybody knows him, he's the crazy playboater out of Indiana who's a really cool guy. He knows a lot of cool tricks. He actually taught me how to playboat, among other things. And the summer of 2022, he sent me a message and was like, "Hey, would you want to start a nonprofit, like a kayaking nonprofit?" And I was like, "Sure, man. Like, I'm down for anything." Like, I didn't know what I was getting myself into. The first year was really tough. It was a lot of paperwork. It was a lot of, going to the bank and writing up your laws, a lot of seemed like impossible stuff. And then once we got that secure, people started, coming around. We had our first big river cleanup, which really is a big part of what we do is cleaning up the river. It's easy to say I just teach the role, but I do a lot when it comes to making the river a safe place to take people. And we've done a lot of work in Springfield, Dayton. There's a lot of different areas that we've attacked throughout the years with cleanups and, basic skill instructions, role classes, whatnot. Anything that has to do with paddling. I've always emphasized that we're a paddling group. We're not like a whitewater club. We're a outdoor group that's very focused on, stand-up paddle boards. You want to wear a life jacket for the first time, like hit us up. We have gear, we got all kinds of stuff, and we can come to you as well.
Yeah. So we're
Thank you,
trying to
Ed.
get
He just put up George's email there. Thank you,
oh,
Ed. Appreciate
oh,
that.
good. We're trying to get the lighting situated. We knew we were going to get screwed on the lighting. We were like, "Oh, the sun's going down, but we want to do this in the park at Kelly's." And for those of you that didn't hear me when I first started, shame on all of you locals in Cincinnati that did not go and get the free giveaway. There is a dry box at Kelly's that nobody has picked up yet. That
I'm
is at
surprised.
I
That's a
know
really
mile
cool idea. The scavenger hunt idea. I love that.
I know. I was like, it's a good way to get people on the river, and but nobody came and got it. So shame on all of you. That is still there at mile marker
Those
seventeen
are
point
good
five,
dry boxes too. Someone
where the
better go get that.
I know that fits a phone and keys like perfectly.
Wow.
So please go get it. So you learned. Okay, so Water Safe Ohio. You started a nonprofit and you do river cleanups as well as teaching kayaking. What rivers do you do the cleanups on?
So our very first one that kind of got us on the map, was also in the summer of 2022. It was we cleaned up the Monument Avenue Bridge right where the Art Wave is in Dayton. I remember we set up shop right there, and it was a real, we just had a table and like a little piece of paper, and we were like, "Are you here for the cleanup?" And we had some bags and gloves, and we had a group of 12 that pulled out 326 pounds of trash out of the Great Miami in an hour and a half, and a
That's
couple of guys
awesome.
went down there, pulled out a road sign. It really did. It kind of got us on the map there because right after that cleanup, we instantly started getting like new followers, people we didn't know. It always starts with your friends and your close circle. That's how every business starts. And then once you realize that people you don't know are like, "Hey, I want to come do that. I want to come clean up the river with you," or all that jazz. And that's kind of how we did the first year, 2022 into 23, and then 2023 is when I got certified as a role instructor. We actually had a co-running. This is where we got into with Wright State University. Bill was able to get the floor for the Adventure Summit, so we can talk about that too at some point. That's in February, so it's a few months out, but that is also a nice little, like, it's every 2 years they have an expose over there, and it's all paddling, and they had a deal with George and Bill where they could not only have a booth but they could do paddle demonstrations there, and
Oh,
I
sweet.
duo hand rolled, a Jackson duo with, Hannah Fell at that one, and that got a lot of applause and kind of got us on the map at Wright State. Following that event, they were like, "Hey, come back and do role classes here." And so for a year, I was Water Safe Ohio was teaming up with Bill's Club, and we were doing role classes there, and that's where I got my first role student. That's where I got certified all through that year, and then for the last 2 years, I've been kind of setting up my own programs.
Awesome. Awesome. Awesome.
Like the
Cool.
nitty gritty was the first 2 years, and now for the last two, we've been kind of smoothing things out. So we're hoping like the next two plus are going to be like super awesome and have a lot of people at every event. It's been the goal, and it's been pretty
Yeah.
good so far. It's really
I
nice to
love,
see the community grow. I love what you do, and we pretty go hand in hand what we do with
yeah.
our stuff. And I've always kind of looked up to you with all the stuff you do. So
I appreciate that. For everyone that is watching now and is going to watch this later, like the last live stream did almost 3,000 views, so I expect it'll probably do something
Very nice.
similar to that. Join, go and join. It will somebody in the comment section please put the link to Water Safe Ohio's Facebook page, so that everyone knows how to join, and let's show TJ some love from down here in Cincinnati, and you'll get updates when he's running events in Dayton, or if he's organizing a paddle meetup in why am I blanking on the water park in halfway between Dayton and
Oh, Snyder's in Springfield.
Springfield. Yes,
That's been
thank
like
you.
our hub for a lot of them. We do a lot of work in that little creek in Springfield because it's a really nice little play park that's been kind of forgotten about over the years. And
Oh, for sure it has. Yeah. So any of the Cincinnati boaters that are looking for like want to meet up and do like still want to paddle or want to paddle with people, TJ does several meetups there in Springfield, which is only like an hour and 15 from Cincinnati. So it's really not that bad of a drive to go up there.
it's a nice
And
central area for like the Columbus paddlers and the Dayton paddlers and the Cincy paddlers. It's a it's the only place that's like a little bit of an equal drive for everybody, and it's been a very cool spot to kind of learn and progress. And it's recently we've heard, so we did a really big cleanup there this April where we did our shopping cart project, and even 4+ months later, we've had some local paddlers go down there, and they messaged me and were like, "Hey, it's pretty clean out here." And when we went back to check it out, we noticed that the park is significantly cleaner than it was. So it makes me happy to feel like the city of Springfield really kind of helped us there and helped maintain. They saw how big of an event that was and made them realize like, oh, people do like this creek. People are doing stuff here. So it was a very cool thing to see
yeah,
for
for
sure.
sure. That's awesome. Well, let's dive before we run out. Well, actually, before I go on, does anyone that is watching, does anybody have questions for TJ about the events he runs? If you go onto his Facebook page, you can go to the events tab and you'll be able to see what he is organizing, the meetups. And there's several that coming up this fall, correct? Like several
Yeah.
meetups.
I usually try to put them almost a month in advance. We're doing a couple of local like outdoor events. Specifically, the first one is Scioto Fest. It's in Columbus. It's at Scioto Audubon Metro Park. We're going to be there for 2 days. Similar to Outdoor X, but it's a little different. They have like a climbing wall, a lot of outdoor stuff. But where we're going to be centralized is the tri kayaking part, where the public is going to be, getting in the
Oh,
kayaks, we're teaming up at the metro parks. It's going to be a real fun 2 days. Joe Fry, who's right there, is my main right hand man for role demonstrations. He's going to be doing a lot of Greenland stuff. We're going to be doing rescue demos. It's going to be a real
awesome.
fun day, and we should have a live stream. So if anyone tunes in, you don't have to drive all the way to Columbus. You can just tune into Water Safe Ohio on Facebook. We should have a live
You,
stream going at
you
some
guys are going to
point.
do a live stream? Hell yeah,
Yeah,
that's awesome. What
for
day are
sure.
you doing the live stream?
So we'll most likely be doing one Friday between 5 and 7. I'll have an exact time because that's the time they're doing tri kayaking. So I'm assuming
Okay,
that's when we're going to be in the water.
sweet.
So
We're
in
gonna
the
do a
next day or
whole.
two, we're going to have an event shared for that.
Yes, that makes me so happy. Cool. Um, that's gonna be awesome. If you have a link in advance for the live stream, give it to me and I'll blast it on social media so we
Okay,
can get
right
more
on.
viewership on it.
That would be
Um,
cool.
all right, we're gonna dive. Does anyone have questions for TJ before we dive into the questions that people sent in for this week? We'll give it a second, TJ, and then we'll dive in. Did Nicole
Yeah.
ask one earlier?
Joe is very fast with the links. You're right.
Joe's awesome.
Um,
I met
yeah.
him at
So
Paddlefest this year. He's awesome.
yes, I did not want to forget this. Nicole, you asked, how did I transition from extended role to sweep role? So that is a very important question. So let me dive into that. Because George and Bill had this way of teaching, which has been controversial to some people over the years, but overall has been endorsed by Eric Jackson himself. And they've kind of, they've said they don't teach the extended role as your main role. They let everyone know, including me, when I was brand new and learned. They were like, "Hey, this is how we get you to figure out, your hip snap and gives you that light bulb aha moment, because giving yourself that much leverage on the paddle really helps you kind of cheat. That's what they use. They use the word cheat all the time. It cheats you into getting a successful roll. And when you get that moment, you kind of your body kind of figures out what it does. So I want to say it took 2, maybe 3 pool sessions of a solid hour of rolling to transition. And funny enough, Nicole, it was your paddle that I did my first sweep roll on. It was I forget which, it was an orange paddle and it had 2 like placements for your hands, and I got my first roll with that, and it was the same. It was like an aha moment. It was the same movement. And I see your follow-up question right there. Are you teaching extended or sweep? So I do teach full sweep right from the get-go. I have not I've okay, so I've introduced the extended paddle. I've shown it to my students as kind of like a way, this is how I learned, and if you're really struggling with your hip snap or don't understand it, we can kind of maybe try it a couple times to see. But what I do, I wish I had a paddle here to demonstrate, but I usually, so your paddle blade's right here. I have them choke their hand up right here where you're still on the paddle, but like you're pretty much touching the paddle blade. That essentially will give the student about the same amount of range as an extended roll without opening up this part of the shoulder, which is what everyone's so concerned about. I've heard stories from people that said they learned that roll and it messed them up, and there's been a lot of debate on that, but it is not very hard to transition from extended to sweep as long as you dial in the same mechanics. I can understand that being tough for someone who's only ever done the extended roll. I've met people that have only ever done that, and that's like their kind of the go-to. And I've been kind of like, hey, you should work towards your sweep because the sweep is going to be a lot safer, and your body mechanics are going to be, your paddler's box is going to be very square, which is what you want when you're rolling in the river. And yes, your accent is the best one to learn in. I agree. It's a great paddle.
I don't know why, but for some reason it won't show me the comments that people are sending in. So TJ, you're gonna have to be
You're good.
the comment people. Also, like for whatever reason, am I in frame? Like, can you actually see my face right now?
You're just a black square above me. That's all I see. I don't know.
Okay,
So I can
that's
hear you.
fine.
I
That's
can hear
fine.
you loud and clear.
Honestly, you don't need to stare.
Um,
And for everyone watching, like we are gonna look exactly the same. So if you want to put AirPods in and do dishes and household stuff, or you're driving, like you're not
mhm.
gonna offend us by not
Yeah,
looking at
for
us.
sure. We're just
So
happy you're here.
yeah, exactly right. So
So,
was
okay, here's
any
one. Is
go
there
ahead.
a minimum age to show up to your events? No, actually. So it depends. So if someone wants their child to learn how to roll, I would need just parents' consent. I have waivers, and I just need a parent's signature. I would say 10 or above is my comfort zone. The youngest person I've ever taught to roll was Hannah, who at the time was 12, Mary's daughter. She was 12 or 13, I believe, when I taught her. And I've taught my little sister when she was also 13. So I would definitely say, yeah, if your kid wants to, but I need an adult there and I need them to sign the waiver. So to answer that question, let's see if I missed any. Thank you also, Nicole, for your kind comments, saying you recommend me as an instructor. I also made the mistake of my first ever roll demonstration with Joe at the boat show. My good buddy Steve Miller kind of nudged me in the shoulder because I was in the middle of my presentation. I was like, "Yeah, I'm a new instructor out of Columbus, and I've had like 3 successful students." And he was like, "Hey, you don't have to say that. You can just say you're an instructor." That just gives people the idea that you're brand new and don't really know what you're doing. And I can happily say I've had a couple years to really figure out, where people go wrong with their role, and I feel very confident in my ability to teach them the correct way. So I do appreciate that a lot. I spend a lot of time with my students. It's more of a connection, more of just a you learn this and we're done. I want to have follow-ups. I want you to come back. I want to, see how you're doing, where you're at. That's why I'm really trying hard to get these my own pool sessions secured because that's my favorite place to teach. Lakes are always fun, but it's more ideal in a heated pool where you have a facility and you can see what you're doing.
More comments.
Yes, Nicole, we did start together because you and we learned about the same time. Nicole and I, we were at George's class. I think you maybe had 2 lessons before me when I came in there brand new. So that was really fun. I miss going to Picante's every Sunday. If you go on the 21st, we got to tell George to go because that's always been a really fun time.
I'm really bummed I can't see the comments coming in. Like
I
I
know. I'm
feel
really
like
bummed I
I'm
can't see
missing
you.
I'm missing out. But yeah.
Robert said we're half face or ear only. It keeps switching around all the time. Okay, let's scoot back a little bit, see if that does anything. I'm glad the audio's okay. I can hear me and
Yeah,
I can hear you.
yeah, exactly.
Seems like
That's
everyone
all
can
that
hear.
that honestly, that's all that matters. Like you don't need to stare at our faces in our beautiful faces that you're staring at, but it does not matter to stare at our faces. Um, any more questions in the comments before we move on?
Nope, I think we're good.
Okay, cool. So first question. All right, this is going to be a good one. Sweep versus C to C. What comes first,
I love
John?
this. I love this discussion. It's such a good discussion.
I know. I'm
So
really excited.
I could, people could say I'm a little biased because I teach the sweep roll and I only teach the sweep roll. I'm familiar with the C2C roll. I don't know how to like teach it, but that doesn't mean that I'm against it at all. I actually feel like sweep or a good C2C can go hand in hand. It's really a preference thing, whatever a person is more comfortable with. I would say for a new person, the sweep roll is probably a safer route to teach, only because from what I've noticed when I see students trying to learn C2C, they drive their shoulder really hard. And it's the same with sweep roll. I mean, very common for new students to really push hard to get that surface tension on the water. They muscle it up. But I just think
Interesting.
there's more of a shoulder risk with the C2C if you're learning. Now, when you're talking about rivers, what happens in the river, there's been a lot of discussion about like your combat roll should be a sweep roll or C to C. It really does, it's personal preference. Every paddler is going to have a different preference when it comes to self-rescuing. The most important thing is that you get up and you get up safely. So, but I would say in a combat situation, your sweep roll might be a little bit easier because you're in a more of a static position with the C to C. When you're getting like pummeled by rapids and stuff, it can be harder. At least with the sweep, you can kind of find where you need to grab the water and kind of go up from there. But ideally, I love them. They're both very good rolls. Back deck roll is cool. I would say I wouldn't use that as a go-to roll. I would say it's more of a show-off move if you're just trying to, dance in the waves and do whatnot.
Did
But for combat roll situations, definitely sweeper C to C, 100%.
did somebody leave comments? Go ahead and if there's any questions in the comments, let's go ahead and read them now.
Let's
And
see. We have Nicole in there saying sweep is better for the average person for confidence building. Yes, I agree with that.
what
Because you really, with a sweep roll, when you're learning a sweep roll, for me at least, it was easy for me to follow the paddle. So when you're just doing a sweep roll, you're underwater, you see the paddle. At least if you have goggles on, you see it. And then when you're going, you can kind of follow it in a trajectory, and it's kind of like your go-to. When you're doing a C to C roll, you're kind of turning your arms, while in a static position. So that can kind of be like, for a new person, that can be probably a little bit confusing for the stuff they're already learning. Um, like I said, both are very great roles. I endorse both of them. And I also endorse there's a lot of Joe would agree with me on this one that if you're doing like Greenland style rolls, the extended can be great because there's so many, like you can put the paddle right here and kind of just scully brace the water. There's a lot of techniques you can use with the extended thing as well, as long as you're not using it as your primary roll.
Yeah. Let me ask you a question. When you teach the sweep roll, are
Mhm.
you do you teach to have people lean and finish on the leaning back, like when they finish the rollout?
Oh yeah.
Okay. So
I'm a big fan of, so when I tell a lot of people when you want to start tucked, because that was a question that my newest student had for me. Was she was like, should I be tucked when I start? And I was like, yes, you always want to start tucked because if you simulate a roll, you're about to roll into a rapid, you definitely want to be tucked going down. But when you start that separation between your paddle and the boat, that should be your key. Okay, I need to start leaning back, because when you lean back, if you think about it, it gives the boat it's like rotational energy to kind of like flip up a lot easier. I've noticed that because people try to roll, tucked up. A sweep roll tucked up is doable, but you're going to use a little more muscle, I think, on that one. Whereas if you were to lean back, you're kind of allowing that momentum to kind of take it over there, and it's a little bit easier. And every person that I've shown do that has told me like, yeah, that felt easier. It felt like I wasn't using, as much muscle, because it should be more of a technique, more of a finesse than it is a power move, essentially. Because if you hip snap too hard, you roll too hard, then you're got overzealous and you fall over again. And I've seen that quite a bit.
yeah, I my theory on this is that if you're leaning too far forward, you can't
Hmm.
engage a hip snap. If you're leaning too far back, you can't engage a hip snap.
Hmm.
And
Sure.
and so like in the middle is when you're going to actually be able to engage the hip snap. I have to, before we continue this discussion, I have to move and put my phone. We're going to transition into my truck because I don't want my phone to die and I want better lighting. So I'm going to transition into sitting in my truck instead of the darkness that is
You still
Kelly's
hanging
Nature
out
Preserve.
outside? Is that why I can't see you over there?
Yeah, that's why you can't see us. Okay, let me hang on. Okay, so back to the roll. There we go. Can you see me now?
Um, I don't believe so. Maybe it could be my phone settings because it's like completely dark. There's no movement or nothing. You're just a black screen with audio.
Can everyone still hear me?
Um, no one has confirmed if they can hear you. Um, I can't see how
Someone?
many you have in here.
We have 17 people watching now.
Oh, nice,
If,
nice. What's
if
up, everybody? I'm scrolling through comments now.
you can leave a comment, can you hear me? Or did I cut out? Can you still hear me?
I can see and hear you both. Brennan can see and hear us both. So
Okay,
that's
fantastic.
yep.
So
Ed
we're
Ed can hear us too. Jay, yep, we're all good. We're
Okay,
good.
sounds good. So this is what we're gonna do. Sorry for the technical difficulties. Okay, next. So on the C2C roll, or on the discussion between the sweep and C2C roll,
Mhm.
which one comes first when you're teaching? I have always like I think that the I'm a like this week you guys are gonna love the shorts that are gonna come out because the first tomorrow I'm gonna be releasing a short that goes over like what is a sweep roll because I've been getting a lot of controversy over like the way I do a sweep roll because I do not finish a sweep roll by leaning all the way back. And so some instructors are saying I'm doing a sweep to C roll instead of a full on sweep roll
Interesting.
because I'm not leaning all the way back with my back touching my stern. So I'm going to post a couple videos saying of me rolling, how I've been rolling a sweep roll and then me rolling with finishing on the back deck and then asking people like, okay, well, which one of these is a sweep roll? But I will say I'm not a huge fan. The one thing I don't like about the sweep roll is that I do not like that it finishes on leaning back in the kayak because in a whitewater situation, if you are leaning back in your kayak, and then you're still in a rapid, you're going to have a very difficult, you
Mm-hmm.
could potentially you're in when you lean back, you're in an unstable position. And so, and it only takes a second to lean forward after rolling up with a sweep roll. But that is why I teach, one of the many reasons I teach the C2C first. I've also seen people become way over reliant on the stroke when it comes to like, if you do not hip snap on a C2C roll, you're not coming up.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas with a sweep roll, people do know how to do it all with their arms and no hip snap. And so, in especially with the extended roll, I've seen that where you can you still have to loosen your hips, but you do
Mm-hmm.
not have to do a strong hip snap to get your boat upright with a extended paddle roll. So the order of how I teach is the C2C roll. Then I'll teach if someone is not flexible enough for the C2C roll, I will teach the sweep roll. If that is not working and they're having serious problems, I will teach the extended paddle roll, but it's rare. I
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
rarely
man.
teach that.
I would only teach that in a situation where someone completely doesn't understand the concept of hip snap, and that's where you kind of get that quote unquote cheat length because with the extended paddle you have more surface tension to work with. And I also like that you
You call
mentioned
me.
about leaning back. You
Yeah.
mentioned about leaning back, and I love that because one thing that I do follow up with my students when they do learn their role is to kind of simulate a combat role ish. I'm like, take a couple paddle strokes, like forward strokes, flip over, do your roll, and then after you roll, I want to see you come up and have that next stroke ready because that's the most important thing. Like you leaning back to come up is great as long as you follow it up and come up and be ready for your next stroke. I have emphasize that a lot because that is a great point that you are very unstable when you're leaning back. That hence why it's so easy to roll the boat because the boat has all that tipping power when you're on the back deck of it. But when you centralize yourself, you get in that you kind of teach your mind to kind of come up and get that next stroke really goes a long way and it helps a lot in combat situations as well. And Brennan popped in said feels that a sweep to sea is the best. You're able to get over center so much quicker and also having the water tension all the way from home base to recovery. Yeah, and it's a great point right there. It's all about your recovery and it's all about your awareness. Once you get good at your role, you learn how to kind of go further with it. Like, okay, like, let's something that Bill did with me once I got good at the roll was he would try to confuse my brain. He would have me, he's like, start twirling your paddle up here and start spinning it. And he's like, now just flip over and figure it out. Don't stop twirling till you're underwater. And I would just go over, like that. And I would have to redo the paddle. And it was a really good exercise to kind of scramble your brain because it's ideal for, in tough situations when you're in a combat situation, it's the
Yeah.
same concept. Your brain's working its way through.
Yeah, yeah. Two things I like to do with students is after they've gotten their role, they don't always like this, but and I always apologize and say I'm sorry, but I totally dunk them. Like they're not expecting it. They have no idea I'm about to do it. But once they've done 3 to 5 roles on their own, I flip them over without any warning whatsoever.
Hmm.
And
Great.
I make sure they have nose plugs on, but I flip them because that's what's going to happen when you get in a rapid. That's a real situation. You're not going to be in a controlled environment. And when I teach people how to run rapids, I tell them go into it with the mindset you are going to flip over in this rapid. Because if you go in with the mindset you're going to flip and you're going to
Hmm.
roll up, that's a way better mindset to have because okay, I know how to roll. You know how to roll. You can do this.
Sure.
The Yeah, the other thing I like to do is a little drill called a washing machine where I'll flip them and then I'll grab their stern or bow, whatever grab loop I have, and I'll literally like shove them through the water, like moving them forward and backwards. It simulates like fast water and
Yeah,
gets them all riled up. And then let's see if you can roll when your heart is pumping and you're under pressure.
that's good stuff
Um,
right there. I like that a
yeah,
lot.
yeah, cool. I personally think the strongest role is the sweep to sea, which is the role if you're getting really technical, that is the role I actually use in combat situations is a
Hmm.
sweep to sea role. Um, it, because I do not finish when I finished my roll, whatever roll it is, I do not finish leaning all the way back. I have a slight
Hmm.
lean back to it, but it's slight. It's like if 90 degrees, my back is slightly leaning back.
Hmm. I'm
But
glad you
I
pointed that out because Nicole actually asked that at some point. I don't know if you still can't see the comments, but she popped in and asked how lean back exactly are you talking about in that situation? And that's a good way to put it. Like you're 90 or there, you're kind of right there in between, like kind of
yeah.
like a halfway mark.
And the issue I have, one of the issues I have with the sweep roll is that in slight half slices and play boats, it is really an effective roll. However, when someone transitions into a creek boat and they have a lot of
Mhm.
volume in their stern, it's not as easy to if you learned in a half slice or you learned in like a long narrower boat and you try to sweep roll up and you haven't mastered that hip snap, which I've seen so many people learn the sweep roll and learn the extended roll and they never mastered the hip snap. They do not
Mhm.
understand, they do not have a strong hip snap, but they've got the arm muscles to do it. And I've seen it so many times where that's the circumstance, and as soon as they get in a creek boat, they're missing their rolls because they have more volume in the stern.
Mhm.
um has been my experience.
I can see
But
that
do we
being a confidence, messer upper too for a lot of people who have, been so good in their one boat and then they try something else and all of a sudden they can't roll again. I've also seen that where it kind of
yeah,
messes them up quite a bit. And it takes a lot of fine tuning to kind of readjust. I mean, I've done the same thing when I got my first creek boat. It took me
yeah,
like a whole pool session and a half to really kind of readjust to what I was doing with it. And, good point. Jeremy just said hip snap is 95% of the roll. It
100%.
actually really, really, and you learn that. I mean, when I learned the back deck roll, that one is the one that taught me that, oh, this is all hip snap. My arms aren't actually doing anything.
Yep.
They're just there like a kickstand. You go around and your hips are just going from one side to the other. And I was kind of like, whoa, like that's a good, like, it's just all the hips. And that's really all it is for any kind of
And
roll.
yeah, and I think the sweep roll is a great roll. I just know that you can get away with you can learn the sweep roll and learn it without learning a strong hip snap.
Hmm.
Whereas if you don't hip snap on a C to C roll, you're not coming up. Like
That's a good
that's
point.
plain and simple. Like when you do a C to C roll, you either are going to hip snap that boat up or you're not coming up. Um,
Hmm.
but again. not everyone can do a C to C. If you are not flexible, like you have to bend. It is the C to C roll requires a lot of flexibility, which is why everyone cannot do it. It is not a roll for everyone.
Sure.
So, yeah,
Yeah, and that's
cool.
like it's a very that's the beauty of having like a bunch of different roles and a
Yeah,
bunch of different kinds. It's something I learned just recently. My buddy Joe, who's watching this right now, taught me something where he was like, we're in the open water. I'm in a sea kayak, and he was like, go over and then just take your left hand off the paddle and just roll. And I was like, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm gonna try it. And I did that, and I thought to take my left hand off, and next thing I knew, I was popping up because the paddle was still buoyant, on the water. It was just like a different way for me to dial in the hip snap. I'm like, if you do it right, if your hips are in the right spot, there's a million different ways you can roll, and you can experiment with all different kinds of fun things. And for anybody who's never seen Joe in action, this guy has an actual list of like 95 different 1,000-year-old roll techniques that are very cool and very fun to watch, and is a
I know.
confidence builder for new people.
I for sure need to sit down with Joe sometime and just go through all these because some of the like forward finishing rolls I do not
Incredible.
practice. Yeah, I don't practice them enough, but I should practice them. And there's value in learning all the different rolls for sure. Um,
Absolutely.
go ahead while I'm reviewing some stuff. Read
Mhm.
the comments and see if there's any questions in the comments we need to answer.
Yeah, we had some pop up
If
while we were
anyone
in
has
there.
questions while we're discussing right now about C2C or your opinions about it, please put them in the comment section while I review a couple things.
Cool. Let me scroll back because we had a good amount of comments while we were in that discussion. Uh, Brian said it's easier to roll a creek boat over his party prop. Uh, I've never had a party prop, but they look like they're a pretty hard boat to roll.
I would
Uh,
think that the party brap would be easier to roll than
it's got a
a
rounded
creek
hull,
boat.
so I would think so too. It could be a size issue or just a personal preference.
But I have to say, yeah, that's probably one of my least favorite half slices was the brap.
Mm,
Um, I did not like that boat very much because it was difficult to initiate the stern for me personally.
mm. Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, boats are definitely going to be fitted to different people. I mean, I kind of went through my phase that first year, when I was learning how to kayak. I got a wave sport diesel that I liked and I didn't like. I had a liquid logic that I didn't really like. And it's just like, it's personal preference. And I fell in love with my play boat. And then, I have my selection of boats that I like and don't like and can roll and can't really roll. Um,
Go
Nicole
ahead and read
also
the
said
comments
that
because I
she,
can't see anything.
yeah, you're good. Nicole also said that she leans back too far in her rock star and that gives her trouble when rolling.
Yeah,
And
I
that's a good point. I actually had some people ask me about playboats in general, and I will say playboats are a little boxier than those long boats, so it can be tougher to, really dial in a roll if you're still kind of, not very confident with it. The playboats don't really help with that. My best advice for that would be so on the edge of the pool, if you're in a pool, if they're cool with you putting the paddle blade on the edge of the pool, that's a good technique. Eric Jackson actually kind of worked with me with that, where you kind of like go into a brace onto the side of the pool and just kind of snap your hips back up, and you go down and you snap your hips back up. Like that's a good warm up tool, and it's a good like you can figure out like where your sweet spot is for your hip snap.
Yeah, George Davis actually, the lock. I don't know if you've ever tried this, but the how he does that lockout method with like forcing, like he's standing in the water and he'll lock your
Mm-hmm.
elbow so that you
Yeah.
can't bend it.
Yep.
That's a very powerful. That's a very powerful teaching tool for anyone that is teaching kayaking. If you have a student that is bending their right arm and punching out with their left arm, if you lock out their right elbow, it fixes that instantly. Make them
Yeah.
do make them hold your hands, and you lock out their elbow and make them basically hip snap off of using your hands. It was a very powerful tool. When I saw it,
Yeah.
I was like, I'm
For
totally
sure.
stealing
I
that.
actually
And
use that for my phase. It's like my phase one where I don't have the
yeah,
paddle yet
yeah.
with a student. I grab their arm, they come out, I extend their arm, and I'm like, now keep that arm no matter what. That arm's going to stay extended. And that's kind of like the key. And that's based off of Bill's instruction that he also taught me. It was like he's like, you ever seen jujitsu where they bend the elbow? He's like, let me show you something. And boom, extended my arm. I couldn't move it. And he was like, now flip over and hip snap. And I was like, okay. Like he had my arm. It wasn't going to bend. And that was kind of got into my brain. I was like, oh, I got to keep this arm extended, and that's a big one because if you, like you said, if you punch out with the other hand and bend this one, you're not going to get anywhere. It's going to be kind of disorienting. You'll be lucky to even get up to get a breath with that kind of move. So
Oh,
it's super
two
important to keep that arm extended.
Yeah, two very common role mistakes are you bringing your head up too soon and you are bending your right arm and punching out or straightening your left arm. Those are two very common role mistakes. In fact, we just got some video content. I'm going to be making videos about both those mistakes because those are very common role mistakes. So there'll be videos coming out shortly explaining, like diving into, showing you those two mistakes and why we often see those two mistakes.
Michael, I'm
Anything,
looking for your questions right now. He said he had two questions,
Mike, you're gonna
asking if
have to
we've
type
seen
them
them.
out. He messaged them to me before I went live, but I did not have
Uh,
time to write them down, Mike. So, and Mike is deaf, so hopefully he can hear what I'm saying. Perfect. And hopefully he can hear what I'm saying, and yeah, and he Mike's awesome. Deaf Mike is
cool.
awesome. We love you, Mike.
Jeremy's
All
got
right.
him asking to repeat them, so hopefully we get his questions on here. I'd love to answer them.
Yeah, all right, perfect. All right, next question. Were there any more in the comments before I move on?
Not at the moment. If Mike's questions come in, I'll address them for
Okay,
sure.
sounds good. Sounds good.
I think we're good up in this point.
All right. What if you have years of paddling experience but are still really timid? Gwen.
This is a good one. This is Gwen. I love Gwen so much.
Gwen's awesome.
She's
Yes, we
she's
love
such a
Gwen.
better boater than she claims to be. She's shown me so much. I would say so. If you're not comfortable, or should I say timid,
I'm gonna get so
it just
fired up about this one.
I think it depends on what rivers you're comfortable with. Because if I know Gwen, I know she's got her rivers that she loves, and French Broad Section 9, all these ones that she's a river goddess on, and will never could see her being timid on those kind of rivers. I would say maybe stick around there. My comfort level is the middle Ocoee, so I won't say it's comfortable. I'm not comfortable. I've only ran it once, but that was the moment that made me realize, like, hey, I just stepped up my class of boating. I kind of have to retool my ideas. How do I read lines? All this stuff. So you could say I'm a little timid when it comes to the middle of Koei, and I'm totally cool with that. That's my comfort level. I feel like I'm learning every time I boat, no matter how. And better boaters would agree too. People who are like class 4 or 5 boaters would agree that they're always going to feel a little timid. They're always going to get the butterflies. But I would say trust your confidence level. You know where you're at in that level. So like just stick with your confidence and just know that you can conquer, the river that you're comfortable with. And if you're not comfortable, then it's perfectly okay to not do that. I've noticed people that are like, if you're not feeling it, it's important to kind of go with your feeling. If you're not feeling it
We'll
today,
cover that in a second.
don't worry about that. Yeah.
All right,
Mhm.
I'm gonna get super fired up before you read Mike's question.
Okay.
I'm gonna get super fired up about this one, Gwen. I get really passionate about this question, and I cannot get more excited about this. Okay, kayaking, it's in the mind. Like the actual physical skills are nothing. Like actually rolling, you can have 80-year-old people who still roll kayaks and still run class 5 rivers. It's in the
Hmm.
mind. And the fear that gets in people, it comes from a very honest place. If you have a bad swim or a bad situation on the river, it can set you back years if you let it. And it happened to me. I had like it happen if you boat long enough, you will have a bad experience where you will have a bad swim, or you'll have a close call where you were pushing your limits and something did happen. It doesn't
Sure.
mean you're drowning or anything like that. It just means that you're pushing, if you're pushing your skill level, it will happen. And for me, it happened where I was running a waterfall in South America, on the Nalawe,
Um,
and I almost drowned. And it set me back years. And so, and getting over the fear of that really has helped me get in touch with the students I teach because they are terrified. Like TJ, I'm sure you experience this too.
mhm.
When they get in that boat that first time, like it is terrifying. Like they're
Absolutely is.
strapped in, they've got the spray skirt on. They're like, "What the hell?" Like they think you. And so like getting them through that fear in a very safe, controlled way, and like it requires a lot of trust from a student to get into
Yes,
that
it does.
space. And And as an instructor, it's our job to come at it from a very empathetic place, and it's
Mhm.
easy to do that when you've had when you've had bad swims or bad experiences. It's like, I know exactly what you're feeling because
Yep.
I've been where you are. uh I've been that terrified student. Yeah, like, I've been there. I know how scared it is. But at the end of the
Absolutely.
day, it's water. You're in a pool, you're in a lake. Like, it's about as safe as it can possibly be. The biggest thing I tell all my students, you have to stay calm. If you cannot keep your
Yep.
heart rate down and stay calm in your boat, you're just hurting yourself. Because
Hmm.
and most people swim, and I'm sure you'd agree with this, CJ. They don't swim because they missed their roll. They swim because they panicked and they pulled their spray skirt instead of
Yep.
trying that roll or trying that second roll. If they'd actually stayed calm and kept their heart rate down, they would have rolled for sure.
Yep.
It is not, oh, I missed my roll. it's it's not like, we can say that's what it is. It was the fear got in you, and that's okay. Like, we
Yep.
are all battling that on our own levels. Like, it doesn't matter what skill level you are battling that with what, like, I have those limits too. Everyone has those limits. So
Sure.
um but I'm starting to ramble. Did we have questions come in the chat while
Yeah,
I
we
was
had
rambling?
Michael's questions popped up. I tried to save it on there so I wouldn't miss it. We got a couple from Brennan too. All right, let's see what
Cool.
we got here. So, um, see if it's okay. I'm finding my wrists to feel sore after playing in my short play boat. I have never felt any soreness paddling creek boats even after 10 consecutive days. Okay, I don't know if I can see the rest of that one, but okay, so wrist pain. I've done a couple of exercises with my students. Now it just depends. I know like play boat versus creek boat, there could be a lot going on there. Um, so maybe if you find out you're rotating your wrists a little bit too hard, I think that was the follow up on his question. Is said, how can I rotate my torso more so when I'm in that boat? So I have a couple of exercises that you can do for that when you're in your play boat. There's a lot of fun things you like. My favorite thing to do in the play boat is to warm up my hips. So you get in there and you kind of throw your arms around. You get real comfortable in the water. I would say use your head when you're rotating your torso. Like exaggerate. Look behind you. Look at your drain plug. That really emphasizes, it loosens up your torso, gets your whole body kind of, and stretch too. I mean, even in the wrists, like if you do just like with the paddle behind your head and like stretch out your wrists, because you are going to be using them a little bit harder when you're doing like play boating stuff rather than just general paddling. I mean, I've learned that. I've had to do my own kind of, I get in the boat, I'll paddle backwards for the first 5 minutes just to kind of get all my muscles activated and whatnot. So that's a great point. I wish I could see the second follow-up one. Someone over there.
While you're reading, I'll talk a little bit. The
Okay.
risks when playboating, like most people, a common problem I see is they lock up their wrists, and they get real tense on the river because they're nervous. You do not want to lock your wrists up, because your wrists need to stay pretty fluid, because they are going to be doing all sorts of maneuver. Like if you're doing a peel out, or like, you need to keep your wrists fluid. Your right hand is going to lock pretty hard on your paddle, and I tell my students to keep their left hand pretty loose, so that you well, this is getting way too complicated to discuss over a live stream instead of on the river.